All right, Rabbi, so let's continue Be'ez Hashem, our quest, our journey for Hilchos Kosev, the halachos of writing on Shabbos Kodesh. So yesterday, we gave a little bit of a Hagdama to what exactly is included in the Melocho of Ksiva. What does it mean? We gave some examples, we gave some interesting shilas that hopefully we're going to get to at some stage. But now we have an idea of what is Ksiva, when it applies, how it applies. We spoke about the two main conditions of Ksiva. I'd like to go through one by one some of the major shilas that we have to try to get through. It's a short share today, but in Hashem, we've got a bunch of shurim to try to get through as much as we can and cover as many halachic, practical shilas as we mentioned yesterday. So the Melocho of Ksiva does not mean that you have to have ink. As we explained yesterday, people think like, okay, I don't write on Shabbos, and therefore it's not Negeya. You don't necessarily need ink in order to be over on the Issa of Ksiva. Even a person can write without actual ink, but even, for example, what the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Shin Mem talks about, which is writing with liquids. Let's say, for example, Coca-Cola is on the table, wine is on the table, orange juice is on the table, and with your finger, you very innocently start writing someone's name. That will be considered to be ksiva, because you have written. You don't need actual ink on a surface that you could just write on the table. You could write on the shtender. So that will be considered to be an issa of ksiva in that case. The shayla is to what about water? Mishnah should see and go backwards and forwards. Water is a problem, water is not a problem. Definitely a person should try to not do that with water also. But Be'ikar, it's talking about mashkin that are not water, that are problematic to write on the table. Forming a letter out of a shape, for example, taking anything for that matter. It could be a piece of paper, it could be a tissue, it could be anything that you form into a shape that has a meaning to it. We'll get to more of that, Be'ez Hashem, when we talk about Lego and everything else. Or taking items like pretzels or like little Skittles or whatever, candies, and putting them in a shape or putting them in a surah, in a form that they form a letter, will be a shaila of ksiva. In fact, there is a tshuva of Shulchan Alevi for Rabelski Zatzal. Rabelski wants to say that that's actually mutter. He wanted a taina that taking pretzels or Smarties, whatever, into a shape of a letter. He wanted to say, he brings Kama Achronim that wants to say that Efshi could be making on that. But if you look at most poskim, they bring down the Chayaldim, that's where it comes on, the Hatzvi talks about it, and others, that you should not do that on Shabbos Kodesh in that case. Moving on, Rabbi Isai, taking a string and forming it into a letter is also included in ksiva and should be avoided in that case. Moving on, writing in the air. What is the halacha? We're taking your finger and simply writing someone, right? Versteht sich, the oilim doesn't talk in davening. So if you don't talk in davening, what are you going to do? So going is not going to help either. Rav Chaim Beglemaisa held that after washing, when a person washes and he says the word nu, that's called speaking after washing. Because nu, when you washed, is a word. Mimela, that's why you shouldn't do that afterwards. But when it comes to davening, person's davening, he doesn't want to bunim, he doesn't want to speak, so what does he do? He writes in the air. What's the halacha in such a case? Is that considered to be ksiva or not? So the Ramah brings a Trumas Hadeshin. The Ramah brings a Trumas Hadeshin. The Trumas Hadeshin paskins that it's absolutely mutter for a person to write in the air. It's also brought down in the Taz, the Magen Avraham, as you saw, the Aruch HaShulchan and others as well, that Avada writing in there is no problem whatsoever. In fact, interestingly enough, it's brought down in Maaseh Ish that the Chazon Ish once told the stipler that it's not roy to write in the air. Even though be'emes it could be mutter, the Ramah Shtei Tazoi, the Chazon Ish told the stipler that it's best not to write in the air. They talk about the Shaila. I love one of my favorites from on Shabbos is a Sefer Yid Chassid Shehiv Barpak Nishma Shabbos Kavaldige Sefer. So he has a kasha over there about what happens if a person is training himself how to play keyboard. So on Shabbos he's busy with the chords. He's busy like training his fingers how to play a certain song. What do you say about that? Would that be a problem on Shabbos or not, to train your fingers what to do? So he tainas this Hasidic Pesach in America. He tainas this for Shabbos. He tainas that the Maisa that will be a problem. He brings Be'etzem Magen Avraham that holds you're allowed to teach umnus on Shabbos, but he also says it's a shayla mimtzachevtzra, it's chachon after Shabbos, of the chol zelzul Shabbos. It brings a bunch of reasons why he says you should not train your fingers what to do on Shabbos. Yankee, you with me? It's okay? Okay, moving on to Rabbi Isai. Shaping your fingers into letters, is that a problem? Taking your fingers and shaping them into a letter on Shabbos Kodesh is 100% mutter to do on Shabbos. That's not considered to be ksiva in any way, shape, or form. What about, for example, if you can make shapes or letters with your fingers in the shade? In other words, there's a light shining in a certain way that if I put my fingers in front of the light, then all of a sudden, people are busy with, spiders and butterflies and all sorts of things in the shade. Are you allowed to put your fingers in front there and create a letter or a shape that has meaning to it? Or is that considered to be ksiva? So Maisa, from Nissim Kailet, Zatzal, and others, Taina, that there's no problem whatsoever in that, because he says it's like walking in front of a mirror. Forget about the Shalav Yilbash that the Ramok talks in Yeridei. Is it a Shalav Yilbash? Is it not a Shalav Yilbash? From Kiv Eges matter it. But Akabonim walking in front of a mirror is mutter. Why? I'm not doing anything wrong. Same thing, I'm putting my fingers in front of the shade. There's no problem in that case over there. What about, and this was one of the shadows we asked if you remember, walking on the snow or walking on the mud? When I've got shoes that create a picture that has meaning to it. Again, picture that has meaning to it, meaning a circle has no meaning to it. It doesn't give over information. That's okay. We're talking about a picture that says something. And therefore, or writing, for example, on the bottom of your shoe. Going over there in that case, so the poskim say there's no problem with walking over snow or mud, even if it forms some kind of image. And the reason for that is, it's a psikvesha do lanichale, it's ein mischaven, it's klachayad, meaning it's not the normal way that you write. It's also lo nichale, because I don't care about it whatsoever, right? And in general, it's ein miskayim for sure if it's going to be snow. So there's many reasons to be made. Or maybe going back to the question we asked in the beginning yesterday, that might be more problematic, because there it is mischaven. There that is the way to do it, and that's mischaven, and then you do have, it is nichale. So that is not necessarily what yesterday's shaila will help you in that case. Does anybody know what etch-a-sketch is? Yeah? Where they have not necessarily shake it, they shake it. Where they're two little, black things, you turn it, and they have shaking ones also. All of those different types, obviously those are shilas of ksiva. What about pin art? Everyone knows what pin art is? You have this square in a frame, loads and loads of pins, you put your hand in it, boom, and it makes the exact image of your hand, right? Then you turn it the other way, and it goes back to normal. That is ksiva. That would be a shayla of ksiva. Now, whether or not you have to stop a child who's doing such a thing, I suggest you look at the Ramah and the Mogen Avraham and Aruch Chaim Samishim Mem Gimel, where he discusses the halacha of being mafish a child on Shabbos from Yisurim. That's not our shayla at this moment of time. Now, moving on, Rabbi Sai. Simply drawing or writing a letter on a table with no liquid, just to tell someone and convey some information, there's no problem with that. Simply just to write a letter, whatever it is, there's no problem with that whatsoever. There's no liquid on the table. That's not called ksiva whatsoever. Again, they bring it Nochas Rabbeinu, the Chazon Ish held that that's not kedai. You shouldn't really do that. But again, Alpi Me'ika Hadin, there's a Taz, Machzah Shekel, Tosu Shabbos, Sali Rabbi, Shulchan Aruch Harav, Tfei Susom, Mishtabur Kavacham, and others that say that there's no problem whatsoever with writing on a table over there. A steamed up window we spoke about yesterday, that will be included in the Issa, that if there's a steamed up window, you cannot write a word, letter, or a picture that has meaning in that case, because that will be problematic in that case. Moving on, if you have a thermometer, they have thermometers that you put on the forehead, right? It's like a little bar. You put it on the forehead, you sort of hold it down, and it tells you the temperature that the child or the adult is. So obviously using that would be problematic for a few reasons. One of them could be ksiva, but again, if you're dealing with a choila, and you're dealing with someone that's sick, I suggest you look at Siman Shin Chov Ches, if you design the third shita of the Ramah, which is Shita Saramban, which says, for Cholish Ebes Hakon Avad, a person can be mekel, but if it's not a choila, then the Minchas Yitzchak has a beautiful tshuva. Debetzin Rabban Ben Moshe also has a tshuva about it, and they all write the right that a person should be machmer, of course, unless it's a situation of a choila over there. Interesting shaila. What happens if you have? I don't think they even have it nowadays. The old-fashioned slideshows, right? The machines, the projectors that they used to have. I don't even know if they have them nowadays, right? They used to have them in the school, right? They used to sit them over there, and you had these slides, and you put the slides in, and it would project it. Now everything's fancy, everything's digital, whatever. What's that?
There's a smaller version of the one.
They do have that nowadays?
don't have nowadays, older families.
Yeah? Okay, very good. So is that a Shiloh Ksiva by simply putting in the slide? It's already set up. The light's on, electricity's on. I'm not doing anything. I'm simply putting in the slide on Shabbos. Is that a problem? So Rav Vosna has a Tshuva in Shevet HaLevi where he writes it's a Zilzul Shabbos for a person to do that. Now, Rabbi Isai, we have to move on to the next Shiloh, which we're not going to have time now to do, but I want to just explain. And that is, what is the halacha with a letter that's already written where I put it together with another letter? So, for example, Scrabble would be a shaila. What about a combination lock? Right? Am I allowed to turn the dial of a combination lock, or is that making some kind of form? Am I allowed to take pre-existing letters and put them together? Is that the Yisra or not? Be'ez Hashem tomorrow, Mr. Shmaya, we'll discuss that. Have an amazing day.